Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are still working on King Richard II, and today we get to hear from King Richard II himself. So we are in Act 3, Scene 3, and fun things that are happening. King Richard and Henry Bolingbroke are both back on English soil, Bolingbroke having been banished, King Richard returning from a war that he was fighting in Ireland that he used Henry Bolingbroke's inheritance to pay for. So Bolingbroke is coming back. He has killed a lot of Richard's friends. He killed Bushy, Bagot, and Green, and he's sort of marching across the country trying to sort of take things back, and he's gaining a lot of favor with the people, in part because the people also feel that Richard was in the wrong for taking Bolingbroke's inheritance to go fight this war, and they also just don't think that he's governing very well at the moment. So at the beginning of this scene, we had Bolingbroke coming up upon Flint Castle and learning that the king is in there and sending a message via Northumberland to King Richard, who has come out of the castle, to say basically, I'm just here, I want my birthright back, that's it. I want my lands, my titles, all that sort of thing, and if you give that to me, then we'll be fine. If you don't, then there's going to be a war. So he remarks, at the end of yesterday's monologue, he remarks that like King Richard had just come outside, and then York is like, yep, he pretty much looks like a king, and Northumberland goes over to speak to King Richard, and King Richard said, we are amazed, and thus long have we stood to watch the fearful bending of thy knee, because we thought ourself thy lawful king. And if we be, how dare thy joints forget to pay their awful duty to our presence? If we be not, show us the hand of God that hath dismissed us from our stewardship, for well we know no hand of blood and bone can grip the sacred handle of our scepter, unless he do profane, steal, or usurp. And though you think that all, as you have done, have torn their souls by turning them from us, and we are barren and bereft of friends, yet know, my master, God omnipotent, is mustering in his clouds on our behalf armies of pestilence, and they shall strike your children yet unborn and unbegot, that lift your vassal hands against my head and threat the glory of my precious crown. Tell Bolingbroke, for yond methinks he is, that every stride he makes upon my land is dangerous treason. He is come to ope the purple testament of bleeding war, but ere the crown he looks for live in peace, 10,000 bloody crowns of mothers' sons shall ill become the flower of England's face, change the complexion of her maid pale peace to scarlet indignation, and bedew her pastor's grass with faithful English blood. So, what's going on here? First, he tells Northumberland that he should be, he is greeting the king. He should treat the king with more respect, and if he's not the king, then he doesn't quite buy that yet, because remember, King Richard thought that God gave him the right to be king, so only God could take away his titles, all that sort of thing. So he's like, no, you're either a thief or a usurper, or you're profaning the title of king by being here, and tell Bolingbroke that he is in violation of his banishment, so he is a traitor by coming back here, and really all he's asking to do is to dirty the ground with English blood, is basically what he's saying. So Richard at this point, even though in Act 3, Scene 2, he was feeling very defeated, like he didn't have any friends, there was a lot of ups and downs, and let's talk of epitaphs, and then Omerol being like, remember who you are, and all that sort of a thing. Even with all of his ups and downs, at the end of Act 3, Scene 2, he left that scene feeling sort of very defeated, but here he is presenting a brave face and a strong front to Northumberland and Bolingbroke via Northumberland. So tomorrow we get to hear Northumberland's response as they continue to play telephone between the castle and the area outside the castle, with Northumberland running back and forth to deliver the messages, because that's what you do when you don't have cell phones, because they didn't have cell phones then. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow for more.